So today I'm going to show you how to make the Espresso Martini. It's a beautiful cocktail and it's very easy to make. It's only got the 4 ingredients. You've got your vodka, coffee liqueur, espresso, and sugar syrup. I showed you how to make the sugar syrup in another video, so you can click the link down below if you want to, or you can find it on the website if you go that way. Everything else is pretty simple. You just buy those in the shop, and your espresso you can make at home. You can use a cold brew if you don't have a coffee machine or anything like that, or if you're working in a bar, you should have a coffee machine in there. You can just make anyway. So what you're gonna need is you need a couple things. One of the main ones, and this is gonna be make or break for me personally, is you need your double strain. You need to double strain it, right? If you're just using a single strain, that's fine, it's gonna be all right. Most bars in the world do that. But double strain is gonna get rid of that chipped ice, it's gonna make that foam stay a lot longer, and overall the cocktail is gonna be a lot more creamy and soft and smooth. It really makes a difference, and it's the small details that make this cocktail. Next, I'm using a coupe here, and I'm using a 250ml coupe. So it basically is the perfect size for this cocktail. If you're gonna be using a different size coupe, that's completely fine. Just adjust the recipe as needed. Now, it's really important that you get your perfect amount of your head on there. So you wanna shake it for a long time, 30 seconds, nice and hard. Because if you don't, I mean, I was watching a video with my friend yesterday actually, and she was showing me somebody had a espresso martini in a martini glass, which is fine, but it was filled right to the brim, no head. I mean, that's just coffee with some alcohol in there. Ridiculous. Next, you need your Boston shaker, as usual. You need your ice and a couple coffee beans just for a garnish. Okay, so starting today, we're gonna use our sugar syrup. Now, a little tip for you is chuck in your non-alcoholic stuff first. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but it's the best way to avoid any sort of wastage. If you get into the habit of putting your non-alcoholic stuff in first, if you do one day accidentally put in off orange juice, or like you put in some pineapple juice out of date or something along those lines, right? You haven't wasted the alcohol if you've put that in first. Do you know what I mean? So just get into the habit of putting your non-alcoholic stuff in first, and that way there's gonna be no mistakes. So you're using 45 mils of the sugar syrup there, 45 mils of your espresso, ,30 mils there of your Kahlua or your whatever coffee liqueur you're choosing, and then 30 mils of your vodka. Perfect. Another thing you want to remember is to make sure that you're putting your ingredients into the small cup, because if you're putting them in the large one, especially if it's a milky cocktail, there is the risk that it's not going to seal properly when you're shaking it, and then you're going to end up wearing it, and again, more wastage. So these little tips and tricks, just ways that you can avoid having a bit of waste. Now, lots of bartenders will fill up the other cup that doesn't have the ingredients with the ice, kind of preparing for shaking. And if you've got a big row of dockets, it just makes it that little bit easier when you've already got the ice in them. One thing that I will mention though, is just before you pour the ice into the mixture, just chuck the strainer on and make sure there isn't any excess water in there. If it's sitting there for a while and you're in a really hot bar or something, the aircon's broken or something like that, that ice is gonna melt quickly. And as soon as you pour that in, it's gonna dilute your drink. So just make sure that you kind of strain out any excess water before that ice goes into the drink. Now, remember, it's a 30-second shake, but it's 30 beats and it's 30 hard seconds. Efficiency. Remember to be cleaning as you're going, keeping the workplace nice and tidy. That's all done now. You want to get that strainer on, double strain that, and look at that, silky smooth. Look at that gradient. That'll just slowly get nicer and nicer. That coffee will settle at the bottom. And while we're doing this, we can grab our coffee beans to garnish. So what I find is the best way for me is you want to have the coffee bean, the flat side facing up. Now you want it to be just slightly off center, and you want to hold the coffee bean in your hand or between your fingers like that. And you want to place one side in and then release, let the other side fall in. And you want to do the same thing with the other beans so that you end up with a pattern that looks just like this. Perfect, look at that. That is the perfect espresso martini. Enjoy. Oh, yes. And then you want your sugar syrup. There's obviously a link to the sugar syrup in the link below. There's a link to the sugar syrup in the link below. Espresso and sugar syrup. 4 ingredients, that's it. It's really I'm using here, it's a 250 milliliter. Wow, look at the dust on that. You can tell I've been in here a lot. Ice and a couple coffee beans. You need your ice and a couple. You need your ice and a couple. What is wrong with me? Of course.